She went an entire month without speaking to me. No calls, no texts, not a single acknowledgement. Just a woman drifting through the same house like a silent shadow. For 30 long days, I lived beside someone who felt more like a ghost than a spouse. And then, as suddenly as she'd withdrawn, she appeared in the doorway one evening, smiling as though nothing had happened. "See? Lesson learned," she said lightly, as if a month of emotional abandonment were some harmless experiment she'd completed. I met her eyes, calm and steady. "Lesson learned," I echoed, and walked past her without another word. Not from bitterness, not from spite, from absolute clarity. Because a person reveals their truth when they think you aren't paying attention. And for 30 days, she showed me exactly who she really was. My name is Mark, and I've always taken pride in being patient. Patient in relationships, patient in conflict, patient with life. But patience is not surrender. Patience is not an invitation to treat someone as if they're irrelevant. For 3 years, I built a life with Sarah. We shared laughter, intimacy, plans for a future, or at least I thought we did. But gradually, something in her shifted. Her affection cooled. Her focus drifted. The warmth in her eyes dimmed every time she looked at me. I tried to fix it gently. Notes, thoughtful gestures, evenings set aside just for us. None of it mattered. By the time the 3rd month passed, the truth was clear. She had stopped caring. Not only about the relationship, but about me. Then came the month of silence. A silence so complete it demanded to be acknowledged. The night she returned, I didn't confront her. I simply sat in the living room, letting the stillness settle between us. She hovered close by, waiting for a reaction she no longer deserved. But I had already absorbed the only lesson I needed. Silence is heavy, and inside that weight, truth always rises. Over the next few days, her behavior shifted dramatically. Suddenly, she was laughing too loudly at my jokes, leaning in too close, offering flimsy explanations she must have rehearsed. I was overwhelmed. I needed space. I had so much going on. But I had seen everything. The late-night messages she never addressed. The last-minute plans she forgot to tell me about. The way she quietly abandoned every shared responsibility. Neglect isn't random. It's a pattern. One she had grown very comfortable with. And rather than confront her, I simply observed. Calm, composed, unmoved, she kept trying to stir emotion in me. Anger, guilt, anything that would pull me back into the role she was used to controlling. But I refused to play along. One morning, she brushed past me in the kitchen and whispered, "I really missed you." I looked at her steadily. "I noticed." I said nothing more. She wanted reassurance. I offered truth. By midweek, I saw the cracks in her confidence. She was suddenly curious about my plans, my friends, even my work schedule. Every question was a test, a way to measure how much influence she still had. But the reality was simple. The version of me she once took for granted no longer existed. The dynamic had shifted, and she felt it. By the weekend, she tried another approach. "Let's go out tonight," she said casually, as though restarting a routine she had abandoned. "Not tonight," I answered evenly. "No excuses. No apologies." The flicker of shock on her face was small but unmistakable. She had assumed the man she ignored for a month would immediately fall back into line. Instead, she encountered someone she hadn't met before. Someone who had learned his own lesson during the silence she created. In the following days, she kept trying. Forced laughter, light touches, little inside jokes. Each attempt mirrored the respect she had withheld for so long. And gradually she began to understand what it felt like to be overlooked. Then came the question I knew was coming. One evening, her voice careful, she asked, "Are we okay now?" I looked at her, composed and certain. "We're only okay when respect goes both ways," I said. "Everything else is just noise." And at that moment, she finally understood that the lesson she assumed she taught me wasn't the one that mattered. The real lesson was hers. Because love without respect is convenience, and forgiveness without change is surrender. Neglect carries consequences. Later that night, sitting alone in the living room, I replayed the months she disappeared and the weeks that followed. The silence had been painful, yes, but illuminating. Respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned, maintained, and protected. And once trust breaks, it doesn't return just because someone wants to come back. She walked into the same house, but not into the same man. And that difference was permanent.